Hey, and welcome to this tutorial where I'm just going to be taking you throughout my thought process while making this piece and tutorial. So we're going to be watching a time lapse of how I did this video. So we're going to look at new techniques of how to create this, and you can apply everything that I've taught you before in this one, but I decided of doing another thing. Somehow same style, but different techniques, like very different techniques. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. My name is Mr. Popo, and we are Popo. The reason I'm putting the camera, it's just because when I was recording this time lapse, I forgot to turn off the camera because I wasn't using it. So there is this black box, and I think aesthetically it looks really bad. So I'm just gonna keep the camera until the black box goes away, and then I'll leave the camera since I need you to focus on the time lapse and not my face. All right, with that done, let's look at it one more time. That's it. So there's a lot of things that we need to discuss, so let's get right into it. Cool. So the first thing, like I explained in the previous tutorial and other tutorials that I've did in 2015, 2016, is everything depends on how you draw your letters. Your letters needs to be really symmetrical. So in this case, for example, in A, I use a symmetrical, and then I did the merge path, and then so that I can have the everything in just one shape layer. In this G, it was very, very, very difficult. So what I ended up doing was I just cut it into two, and then I'll animate it separately by myself. And then here I started putting the timing for each and every part of the animation. So as you can see, those a little bit up. And then here I used a very interesting technique. So what I did, instead of going and tracing all this again or masking each letter by itself, what I did was I actually typed the text. As you can see here, I typed the text, and then what I did was I just right-clicked it and create shapes from text. And what happened was it ended up giving me this shape layer, and I just went and just duplicated it 17 times, and I just kept every layer by its own. And then I colored everything just so that I can stay organized. I had and yeah, then I started putting things into comps so I can focus on them. So the first thing I started with is the big guy here, which is the design part. So what I did was, again, position and a little bit of path animation. Again, I was looking for something that really sits well. So what I ended up doing was I went with a half motion, which is it speeds up and then it slows down equally. And I think that really worked for my case. When it comes to this E, I did different styles of how the E comes for different E's in this project, which we're gonna see later on. I, it's very straightforward. It comes just from one side. So again, everything is very straightforward. I'm just gonna turn off the cam so that you can focus on the project instead. Okay. All right, so right now I'm seeing a little bit of mistakes when it comes to the S. Okay, apparently I created a path in a very different time, which was a big mistake. So I had to fix that up. When it comes to the J, it was a little bit tricky. So what I ended up doing was I just took the last parts. And again, symmetry really helped me here, as you can see. Symmetry is really, really, really important. When it comes to the N, a lot of people actually gets to to have a lot of problems with the N, because the N shape is very, very difficult. And I used to make this mistake myself, so I just want you guys to learn from my mistakes. Normally what you try doing is you'll try to split it in half like this, because everything needs to be split in half, right? So N definitely needs to be like this. But that's not the case, really. All you need to do is just, aesthetically it looks more beautiful if you just bring these sides here. It's just gonna give you the same effect. When it comes to the J, you'll take the parts here. The I, you can either take these two parts or you can take these 2 points. When it comes to the S, again, symmetry, just like the J. E, the most beautiful one is you take this part and this part, put it really far, and then this, and this, you just push it just a little bit. And the same applies here. You push this a little far, and this one you just push it just a little bit, just a little bit. Let's continue. So as you can see here, cool. So when it comes to the I needed to cut it because it's I came into the real center. So instead of me trying to find out should I bring it from the right or from the left, I just decided to actually split the layer and bring half from the left and half from the right. And I think that's aesthetically as well, artistically and aesthetically, looks more beautiful than actually just bringing it from one side or another. Here I made a mistake. I thought I'm going to be coloring each letter on its own. Each text on its own inside, and then yeah, it turns out that it's not really a good idea. So now what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to get a feel of the final composition, how it's going to look like. So as you can see, I'm using the grain, I'm using the glow. I'm trying to posterize time, but it was so bad in real time. It was really so bad, and it took off most of the beauty from everything that I've done in terms of animation. So posterize time really doesn't really work here in my case. So as you can see here, I keep playing this again and again and again. And normally what happens here, what happens when you see those things playing again and again, just like what's happening here, I do a trick. So what I do is I look at it for like 3 times, and then I go take a walk or relax my eye, because it's really important to relax your eye after 30 minutes of working. So I think by now I already reached 30 minutes, I remember, because I was streaming when I was doing this. And what I did was I just stood up, and because I have a mirror, a window next to me, so I just bring my cup of water and just stretch my eye, because it's really important every 30 minutes of screen time that you stretch your eye for like a few minutes. Mostly I do it for 5, and then after 5 minutes I come back and I see the thing playing again, and then I realize the mistakes that I have made, and if there is anything that I need to change, I do it then. Okay, let's continue. Cool. I'm still taking a look on how this grain is gonna look like. Again, posterize time, we talk about it. I take a break, I come back, and then I see the problem here, and then I try to fix the timing. You see, this is why it's important to take a break every 30 minutes when you want to preview something. You actually come back with a very, 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 very clear mind. And now I'm looking at the reference, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's go ahead. Then I decided to actually animate this. The point here was to just bring things from very different places. So what I did was just created very random paths. I went here and I changed the path from Bezier or Auto Bezier to linear, and that would bring me things, as you can see, linear path. Yeah, and I just kept bringing things randomly, as you can see. I was trying to be as random as possible. There's no real secret here. Everything is just random. I applied my Poco Poco animation, which we've seen in so many tutorials that I've done, which is just that blinking animation. that I use a lot, and I don't like to keep repeating every time. So I just saved it as a preset, and I just apply it, as you can see. So it's pretty simple and pretty easy. Then I change the timing of everything. And when they come, all right. And then I see how it feels like. I don't like it. So then I start going and doing things manually. For example, here, instead of just bringing it, let's just do a little bit of animation in. For example, the E. So this E is going to be animated that way. Another same E is going to be animated in a very different way. So as you can see here, I'm stretching those E points now. So each E is very different, as you can see. See? So I'm just using different techniques for different E. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. This is where you go and change things by yourself. So for the B, I try to bring one parabola from the left and the other parabola from the right. I think that looks way beautiful. For this S, I took my time with it. And I advise you to sometimes take this like 5 minutes with one letter or one shape letter. So for now, I just said it's just gonna stretch when it's going to the left, and then it's gonna stretch up. I thought this looked weird, and it actually looked weird, and I'm like, no, this doesn't work. All right, let's try it another way. Nah, still doesn't work. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, we just can simplify things like this. And yeah, I just drag the last parts and it works. All right, the Y, very simple. Remember that end tactic. When something is really hard to symmetry, what you do is you just take the last points on the left or on the right, and that would solve it. Now I'm doing the at the edge thing. This is going to be very straightforward. I'm just bringing things from each side because this is symmetry, doing the same position speed, because I want things to come the same way to stay in line with everything that we've done so far. All right. So the D I already told you, you stretch the two different shapes from each other. One is far, the other one is just a little bit. When it comes to the J, as I told you, I created it in a very special manner because I wanted to animate it specially, you see. So I bring the line and then I bring the circle. And the same thing goes up to the other side. So H is very straightforward. We're just going to take one side. It's just like the N. We're just going to take one side and we'll stretch it. As you can see. All right, the T, the same thing. And a little bit of shape movement on the edge. And the A, of course, which is another T. Sorry. Yep. And of course the A, which is very simple. Yeah, that's it. Just like what we did with B. Cool. Now you have this animation alone, without even having the glitch thing, it's already so good that it could be done by its own, you know. You could just color it or even just keep it this way, and you already, right now I already have I have something, you know. But let's take it to a bigger step, just like what Tendril did. Yeah, of course. I have to mention that I do this when I'm chilling, when I'm relaxing. I do these projects to relax. So of course, when I feel like working, I work. When I feel like playing games, I play games. So don't forget yourself. You know, it's really important to take care of yourself and do what you want. Okay, so here what I do, I just create a matte that I can use later on to mask, or that I can use to what do we call that? to do a time displacement. So a time displacement, what it does is you do an animation and then you use like what we do with displacement map. You use a map to control that animation. So whenever it's white, the animation will play normally. When it's not white, the animation is going to be slower for that particular part. Okay? And so that's what I tried to do here. Trying to make a math that I can use for masking and in the same time for time displacement. And we're going to see how time displacement work at the end of this project a little bit later. All right, so I'm just creating more stuff. Of course, the more you create here, the better results you're gonna get. But I just thought that was okay, and then I realized that I've been creating comps without really being very considerate of how messy it's gonna get. So I just took care of that before it gets out of hand. Here. So then I used this as a mask, and then I created different colors, as you can see. So this will only appear when that thing that we created now, those shapes animation that we created, that's when we're gonna see them. And I thought that looked super cool. And here you can see the time displacement. So what's actually gonna happen here, this animation of at the edge, whenever there is a white thing, for now, I'm saying that it's gonna slow. It's gonna slow. So everything else is gonna play normally. But that thing on the white areas of that map, the bar comp, this one that we just created here just now, like this one, whenever there is white, it's gonna come slower. Okay, so it's gonna come like a second later than when it's supposed to, or 10 frames later than when it's supposed to. All right, let's continue. Cool. So as you can see, they're gonna come a bit later than when they're supposed to. And that creates a very glitchy thing automatically. So again, I'm trying to see the feel of how that's gonna work on the main title. Then I created that VFX thing that we did on the previous thing. The only thing that I added here was I added a pixel sorter to just data mosh everything on that blur. The directional blur thing. I still didn't really like how that looked like, so I kept on trying different things that failed, and then I was like, that's because my size of the composition was very small, and then I had to actually go and change all the composition myself. So what are you gonna see me do here? It's very interesting. So what I did was I took instead of scaling each thing by its own, I went and I created a null object right at the center, and then I just, as you can see here, and then I just parent everything into it, and then I scale this by 150% because I was using a 1280, and it's only 50% more to 1980, and everything is scaled perfectly. So I'll just do that for everything else. And everything just works perfectly, and then I can delete that null if I need to. Now I have better pixels, so that feels good. Now I can work more on it. I didn't like that time, so I just turned it off for now, but I didn't delete it because I'm gonna probably use it later on, and that's just how I work. When I don't like something, I don't delete it completely, I just leave it until I might change my mind later. So I color everything here, and I thought that was a great thing because I can just mask colors here. I think it's way better than trying to color things inside and then duplicate them inside and do different colors inside. I thought that doing the colors outside was really great, and that was the mistake that I've done in the beginning, was thinking that I can color from inside, but outside was way better. So again, I just duplicate the comp and just mask the part that I like and change the gradient. So here I'm trying to create another map for the small thing, and then I animate it with position and scale, as you can see, changing a little bit the anchor point. All right, and then I just alpha invert it, and you just then you can see I will only see it when that thing is there. And for the green, I just mask it off because I don't need to see it on the green part. You see? So now I only see it on the white part, which is pretty great. So I see it on the green for a while, you can see. I just see it for a little while, and then it becomes white. Yeah. So that was the intention, again. Of course, I have to color my layers so that I know what color is what comp, since I'm gonna put all the colors outside. So I have to be careful with coloring my layers and naming them correctly. So again, green, blue, and of course purple. If you want to add another color, you can add yellow to this color palette. And then here what I used, I tried to use the invert, but invert really didn't give me, because I wanted the whole screen to glitch by the time it sits, you know, just right before it sits, as you can see here. Just right before it sits, I wanted to do a change of screen, the whole screen like glitches. I wanted to do just an invert, but invert didn't really give me the style that I want. Maybe for you it's gonna work, because sometimes it worked for me. That's why I went to it directly, but it didn't work in this case, as we're gonna see. So I was just trying different modes and channels. As you can see, some channels are really good, but for my case it didn't work. So what I ended up doing was I used Colorama, and I went to use my own output cycles and chose the colors that I want myself. As you can see, it gives you some really beautiful results right off the bat. So what I did was I just played with the blend with original, so I'll just trigger it when it's time. Here I tried to do something that I've seen on different projects. I tried to do a texture on top, but it really didn't work here. So I tried to do this texture, but really didn't like how it's gonna look like later on, and just scratched it off. Alright, so I let it play, and I took a break now. I took a break. And then I came back later. I remember I took a break, I ate, played a game, and then sat down again. So just so that I can have a feel of it. And while I'm playing the game, I keep this going on, you know, so that I can look at it at every single time that I take a pause on the game. So now that I paused it, I'm just thinking of what to do next, and what I did so far, so that I stay focused. And I realized that I could start adding elements. So instead of using form, I just wanted to test my skills, if I can still hold up to doing expressions. So here I realized that I forgot about expressions. So what I went to Adobe's website, and then I saw how position expression actually work. And so what I did was, just read that article, and I was able to actually create my own expression. So I made a slider for how far I can push points apart, as you can see. And then I realized I could actually use another expression control for how many squares I have. So it's like I'm creating Trapcode Form plugin right here. And that's what I did. So now I have this shape layer that I can reduplicate and use how many times I want. So again, I'm just doing an initiation of when the color is going to change. So I just wanted the user to get initiated to how the color is going to change. I just want to talk about something that I did not record, and I was not streaming because I was playing the game. I was not streaming when I changed this. And this is when it comes to the transform tool. And so basically what happened, I used a transform here because I wanted the whole scene to actually scale up. Not only this, I wanted the whole scene to scale up. And if I don't use the effect called transform, this is an effect, this is not the transform properties of the adjustment layer. So adjustment layer is just affecting everything. And I needed to really have everything scale up. So I could either create a null object or I could scale them. But here is the problem. I need these to be very crisp, no matter how far I scale them. So I have to use rasterize. But then if I use rasterize and I try to scale these, they're not gonna work. The scale is not gonna work. The position, is not gonna work. So me trying to push them left or right is not gonna work. So what I ended up doing was, because of this rasterize, so what I ended up doing was I created this effect called transform. It's in the effects. So if you just search for transform, you'll have this. And now I can move the compositions left and right. Because if I just try to scale, I'm not going to get this part, because I wanted this to not be super symmetrical. I wanted it to be pushed a little bit to the right. Yeah, as you can see here, it's just pushed a little bit to the right. And I needed this. I did not want things to be super symmetrical. And the only way to do that was to use this effect. So here again, I'm creating more grids. So now it's super amazing because I just can control the grids. And then realize that I need to change the size. And I just want to change the size. And then later on I was like, wait, why don't I just create an expression for changing the square size as well. So again, it's like I'm creating my own Trapcode Form effect here. And I like to do those things sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. Right, now I just push them randomly. And then I use the yellow color. And I see a feel about that. And then I decided that when they're gonna start, the screen is gonna shake in color. I want to have a whole grid, in the whole screen, just for that moment. So what I ended up doing was, I created a grid and then I masked some parts, subtracted, and turned down the opacity, because I do not want it to take the whole attention. I just wanted it to be there, And then after a few frames, I said I'm just gonna change these masks. It's just like the screen is, it's computing things. Yeah, and it worked. Again, I went, take a break, and then came back. And then I realized that I wanted to cut some parts of the screen. And to do that, I'll have to cut on the adjustment layer. And if I cut the adjustment layer, it's gonna cut everything else. And that was amazing. So again, I'm just adding more elements. Yep. Cool, now everything works perfectly. And I'm like, all right, now it's time for details. Now I can start and taking care of, splitting the grid, adding more details into the glitch. All right, so I went and I created this math that goes from the left and the right, from right to left. And then I added detail using fractal noise and then stretching it. And then I went down and I applied it as a time displacement. I think I ended up removing this at the end. Okay, so I didn't really see that much of a difference. So I went and I increased a bit. So I wanted to see that. As you can see, you can see it. Yeah, you can see it here. And then I felt like it was out of, it was out of sync. And then I'm like, what if it was just a little bit liquefied? It's like some water went into the screen, you know, that effect when water gets into the phone screen. And then I did it, but then I didn't feel it, you know, while I was doing it. I just like, nah, this is, I'm not feeling it, you know. It's everything about your gut feeling. Do you really like it? Do you really feel it? Do you really feel it? If you don't, then just don't, you know. Even though it was a great idea, or you think it was a great idea. I mean, if you don't feel it, just don't do it. And then what I started up doing was I created this mask to just put on the side, and I just duplicated the composition, and then I just mosaiced it. So now I don't need to create shapes. Now I have shapes. You see those shapes, those glitch shapes? I just created them by just duplicating the thing and just making it mosaic. And then it works. It just works. So no need for plugins or anything. It just works. Cool. Again, took a break every 30 minutes. Take a break. Drink some water. Stay hydrated. Mental is really important. Again, I play games, and we continue to work. Again, I use this to chill, so yeah. This is how I relax, is just doing motion graphics. All right. Now I was still thinking of how to add more details. So what I ended up doing, I settled on trying to create these colors, you know, the blue, the purple, and the green. So what I ended up doing was I tried to give them a little bit of randomness by doing masks, as you can see here, and then push them a little bit to the left or to the right. See how I feel about it. And then come back. And so I put the grain on top. It looked way better. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's great. Now, what we can do. So here, I did a technique. Not sure if I invented this or not, but I don't know. I just liked it. I like to stretch things that are coming from the left and stretch things that are coming from the right. Normally you go to the alpha, you blur things, you go to the alpha to make them a little bit clean and sharp. That's the technique here. It's like you scale wipe, you blur, and then you use levels on alpha to make things stretch flat. And nothing is rounded. Cool. And then I animated a bit that mask itself, and they gave me a really beautiful effect that I liked so much. And then the next part was trying to get the outline. So I just duplicated the letter, outlined it using stroke only, called it outline, put it back, changed the color so that I know exactly where it is if I want to change it later on. All right, same for J. And then I see how it looks and I felt like that was fantastic. Change a bit the timing. I do for the E as well. Change the color. I put it outside so that I can change the color because I wanted to change the colors. That's why I put it outside. Again, I'm wondering why I don't see it. And I realize that's because of the adjustment layers. So I ended up putting it on top. And it worked perfectly. Now I need to add same thing for something else. Take the fill, get some water. Again, relaxing is really important. Then I come back. Do a little bit of grid change. Instead of having a fill, I did only a stroke, and that gave me a really beautiful result. I was really happy with. I push it in another part. It worked perfectly. I keep on looking at the loop, and then I go and I try to do the outline for the eye. So I tried to do the blinking eye, but I really did not like it. I really did not like it. And I'm like, I need to fix this. I tried to do some adjustment layer, just trying. And then I'm like, oh, I actually like it when it's only on some parts. So I only applied it on some parts, the glitch using adjustment layer. This was the old way of doing glitch. You just do fract the noise and put displacement map, and then that's it. That's glitch, literally. But I liked it when I just did it on some parts. And later on, we'll see how I stylize that thing again. And then I started adding more elements, just to add details, into the comp. Just like a small play button. Again, change it to linear so that everything is going straight instead of curving. I see how it looks like. Right. Let's see how it looks like. Remember, this is a time-lapse. It's played in so much faster speed. So yeah, that's why you can't really see the preview as I saw it. Okay. So I tried to see how I feel about it. In the same time, I was taking a big break here. And then I realized, and then I came back. Tried to check again what I can fix. And I tried to fix the edges. I thought that the edges was the biggest problem, so I kept trying to fix them. For a while, I thought I need to just remove them, accept that it does look good. But I was like, no, I want to invent something. I wanna create a new workflow. I don't want to just put this as a tutorial. I want this to be a learning curve for me as well. And yeah, I just tried to make it work. And I think at the end, I succeeded in just a little bit of timing. It actually worked. Then of course I do the split screen for a few frames. I thought that was cool. Alright, I cut it out there. Then I'm like, alright, the eye, probably need to fix it. Alright. And then I started to realize that these do not really look on par with the style of the project. And then I try to fix them. Because everything is so cubical. Everything was so cubical. But those glitch displacement were liquidy. And I thought that that was not correct. So I needed to fix that. But first I added a big gradient and did a mosaic effect, and then it gave me this beautiful grid behind. It's like a TV thing. It really gave me a beautiful effect. And then I'm like, those things really look so liquidy. I need to fix it. The displacement map, it looks so liquidy. I needed to fix that, and we'll see in a bit how I fixed it. Yeah. So what I did was I created a mosaic effect, because mosaic just pixelate things. And if I just reduce the pixel, everything is going to be again cubic. That's it. It's solved. Done. Solved. Of course it's solved. That's just how it is. Again, if I can solve a problem, I leave it until later. That's it. I don't need to waste my time with it. I'll do it later if it's not super important. So again, I'm just creating more time displacement between the projects, between the animations, and that brings a whole new level of glitchiness. Now here the problem that I didn't realize was everything was a little bit smoothed out, and that was because of that technique that I told you I tried to invent, which is a stretch on the side. So I had to leave A out of the mask for that to work. Then I liked it, and I was like, all right, cool, that's amazing. Now what can we do? So I tried to do that CRT thing. So I used that small CRT texture that I had. I used motion tile. Here my PC started lagging because it's the motion tile was so big that it was so hard for the memory. So what I ended up doing was I just went for the look that I like. And when I liked it, I screenshotted it. You see? And then I deleted that motion tile and I just brought up the screenshot. Then After Effects doesn't have to compute anything anymore. That's it. And then I overlaid it on top, and it looked so great because it put these textures on the, it put the texture on, on the shadows and everything, and it looks so beautiful, as you can see. And that's it. That's just how I created this piece. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this. This tutorial. My name is Mr. Popo, and I'll see you on the next one.